Lights go up, the crowd's in a buzz. Hawk talk, stop from mighty thud. Voices sharp like a razor blade. Breaking news like a wild cascade. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Post on fire, you can't deny. Hot take sharp with no alibi. Game analysis deep as night. Get ready for an epic ride. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We call the plays before they happen. Feel the rush as the crowd is clapping. Stand tall with your team above. Hawk talk anthem, feel the love. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We're the free. Set you free. We're the voice that sets you free.
Boom, boom. All right, here we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is a balmy 55 degrees today, and that is exactly why I am in a long sleeve shirt. The weekend was absolutely gorgeous. Wife and I went out for a ride last night. She had to wear a jacket. I wore I wore this shirt last night with my vest. And this morning we woke up and all the kids had to get their jackets on because it was 55 degrees outside. And I tell you what, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I can't lie to you. I've been buzzing all night. Went to bed. I normally stay up late on Sunday nights. And I went to bed and was really just excited. just excited and can't wait to get this rocking and rolling. Got everything set up over the weekend. My dad came over, helped me out with a few things, and got everything ready. Finished getting everything set up after I got the last kid on the bus this morning. And so here we go. Here we go. So this past weekend, we'll get into what to expect here here in a little bit. But let's open up with this. Rivalry football games. How do they make you feel when you head into the big matchup? I was thinking about this. We have family get-togethers. We have family reunions. And we'll play board games, we'll play card games. And there's always that one or two people that if you're going to play a game against them, you want to beat them. You don't say verbally they are your rival. You don't say verbally that you really, really, really want to beat them in a very bad way. But you play like it, and you slightly act like it, which means they're your rival. And I love the way that Iowa State and Kansas State play each other. I absolutely do. This past weekend, we had an absolutely beautiful game in Dublin, Ireland. It was not beautiful because of the weather. The weather was absolutely gross. The field was an absolute wreck. It was bad. It was really bad. They had to have the field crew repaint the lines at halftime. That's how bad it was. By the middle of the third quarter, you could not see the hash marks on either side of the field. Like, it was that bad. First half was really, really sloppy. Some may say that was just because of the opening game itself. I'll give you that. Opening games can be sloppy. I will give you that. But I think it was a little bit more than that. I think it was a little bit more than just sloppy. The rain caused, the opening punt return. Kansas State defense absolutely stonewalled Iowa State on the first drive. Iowa State punts it away and then fumble. Just flat out fumble. And then the guy's out for the game. I don't know what actually happened. I did not look it up this morning to see if there was an update over the weekend. But that's really how the first half went. Fumble, fumble, fumble. And then the second half. Second half was a lot cleaner. You saw a lot more offense. Iowa State quarterback Rocco Becht, if you didn't know any better, you would say it was Anthony Becht playing again right as he came out of college. The kid looks just like his dad. And he's tough. He is tough and he's gritty. He has got absolutely fantastic pocket awareness. And he took advantage of a really big weakness. In this game, you really had the tale of two halves, not just because of certain things that were going on, but because of the fact that the weather played such a big factor in how the receivers could break, how the corners could break. And that actually played to a strength of Rocco Becht. Kansas State has an outstanding defensive line. I cannot wait. Remember, I thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to come out. I thought their defense was going to dominate. The defensive line did. Iowa State couldn't run the ball. But the pass defense for Kansas State was absolutely dreadful. The corners never turned their head. The ball would go straight over their hand, coming in to protect the receiver. If they would have just turned their head, just turn your head, you would have been good. You would have been just fine. It wouldn't have been an issue. But they never did. And Rocco absolutely carved them up. The Iowa State offensive line, defense, they're physical. They put some licks on Kansas State that I tell you what, I mean, their children may be feeling those. It was a hard-hitting game. It was gosh darn great football. The opening game, not even in this country, they're opening in Ireland. And it was absolutely amazing. Kansas State driving missed a bunch of fourth down opportunities. I do believe it had a lot to do with the field. They could not get their QB power with Avery Johnson to be able to work properly. He struggled early with the wetness of the ball, throwing it downfield. And it really just kind of restricted their abilities from that point. Iowa State ends up winning a 24-21 thrilling opener. Absolutely fantastic opener. And that set the stage for what the entire rest of the day was going to look like. That set the stage for everything. And it was perfect. It was awesome. Now, when you look at the entire day, if you guys remember, my picks were Kansas State, Kansas, and then Hawaii at night. Well, the mid-game, we had a little bit of a break. There was a little bit of a break between Iowa State and Kansas State. So, like any good husband, I was able to do a little bit of housework. Just enough so that I could sit back down and watch Kansas and Fresno State. That game was absolutely a blowout. I took a few notes here. I've got the notebook back out. I got notes for each one of these games. Kansas had 383 yards to Fresno State's 216. Fresno State had 3 turnovers. Kansas was all over them. Kansas had lots of pressure. Lots of pressure. They never gave the Fresno State offense a chance to really settle in. Now, or Fresno State's offense a chance to settle in. I want to give Fresno State credit, though. The first half, they fought really hard. And I want to give Kansas credit because Kansas they mailed it in the second half. They took down the opening drive, scored a touchdown, 31-7. And then they never really tried to score after that. They put in their second string. They put in the backups. And to their credit, their backups held the lead. Still won by 24. But even with that, Kansas absolutely dominated this game. Couple of notes I had. Jalen Daniels, we've had him in the college football realm for quite a while now, 6th-year senior. He acted and played fast. He was accurate with the ball, fearless, something that is lost today, especially on quarterbacks that size. Fresno State did get a couple shots on him. They did have some nickel blitzes that got back to him. And to his credit, he stays in the pocket. He is not afraid of getting hit right now. Obviously, you don't want him taking too many shots. But to his credit, as a college quarterback, he delivered some strikes when getting absolutely plastered. Jalen Daniels, to me, right now looks a lot like a Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, when he came into the league out of North Carolina State, and Wisconsin, he just played tough because he was smaller, had a chip on his shoulder. Jalen Daniels, to me, has that aspect. If he can get the accuracy down, and watching that game, I watched him mostly, and then I'll admit, fourth quarter when all the backups were in, I got up, started doing some stuff because I was going to be watching Stanford and Hawaii. So Jalen Daniels to me reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson. It reminds me, if he can get the accuracy down, I think he can be a third-round pick in this next year's draft and potentially be one of those guys that, because of the chip, because of the extra weight, and especially with the experience, this is a 6-year senior now. Another guy like Bo Nix, he's got an arm. He absolutely has an arm. Because of that, I could see him getting drafted in the third round next year. If he ups his accuracy, if Kansas goes on a deep, deep run, I 100% could see this. I 100% could see every bit of Jalen Daniels getting drafted in the third round. Why not? Why not? So I loved what I saw from Jalen Daniels. From Fresno State, listen, they were just outmatched. Their O-line looks really, really weak. But their defense, to be honest, is not the issue. They only allowed 383 yards, but they were put in some really, really tough spots. And they played decently for the way the game went. They got put in a bunch of short fields. That's never easy. The defense, like I said, hit Jalen Daniels multiple times. E.J. Warner, Kurt Warner's son, I love seeing him in the stands. He's got a rocket arm. His awareness isn't necessarily to that level yet. He'll grow into that. But Fresno State as a whole put out lots of effort. And that's really what it comes down to. How hard do they play? How hard does the team play even when losing? And you can tell when there's a skill difference on the field, right? You know that if dad plays son, dad's 35 and son is 10, probably dad's going to win. And if he's taking it easy, it'll look good for the 10-year-old. Okay, the mismatch was there. Fresno State gave a lot of heart of how they played. And they did a really good, they really did a good job on defense. Offensively, they just don't have it. The offensive line is a wreck. It's bad. But congratulations to Kansas. They're getting ready for a Big 12 season. The Big 12 is wide open. And it's really one of the hardest conferences to predict, I'll be honest with you. It really is one of the hardest conferences to predict. All right, so now the final game. The final game of Saturday. This was awesome. If you're a Colts fan, this was nostalgia. And it was nostalgia with how it ended, too. So, Troy Taylor was the Stanford head coach, gets fired in the offseason. Andrew Luck is now the general manager of football operations for the Stanford Cardinals. For those of you who do not know, colleges are now bringing in general managers. The athletic director is not in a position to handle all the NIL and all the other money that comes from everything. He is not in that position because he is athletic director, not football director. He has to handle all of the sports, not just one. The general manager is now exactly like a general manager in the NFL, handling who you can bring in, the money, the NIL, the revenue, handling all the football aspects themselves. North Carolina has Michael Lombardi helping out Bill Belichick. Then you've got Stanford with interim coach Frank Reich and general manager Andrew Luck. It really was great to see both of them on the field. And honestly, I hope Frank continues coaching. I know he has no desire to deal with all the recruiting stuff. You can tell. I hope, though, he does become an offensive coordinator, or if he can, through this year, kind of like coaching, if he can kind of get into it a little bit, I think it would be good for him. So this game came down. Alejado, the freshman quarterback for Hawaii, tough as nails, would not come out of the game except for when forced, was limping consistently after getting hip drop tackled, a real hip drop tackle. In the NFL, it would have been flagged. He got injured off of it. It hurt his foot pretty bad, and there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. The way that he played after the injury, nothing short of absolutely amazing. He has to work a little bit on accuracy. He's a freshman, though. I'm not going to jump him. He has got a very strong arm, really good on some of the timing routes. But he has got heart. He's got grit. And he leads a game-winning field goal drive to give the Rainbow Warriors the W over the Stanford Cardinals in week 0. And he showed a lot of what we can expect in the future. My fear, right away, my fear is he's going to end up getting sniped by a bigger college. My fear is he's going to end up getting taken away with some ginormous NIL deal, because as a freshman, he's already showing a lot of talent. I guarantee you he's going to be somewhat recruited in the offseason, whether it's legal or not, doesn't matter anymore. We know this. Guarantee you in some way he'll get contacted by a couple of the bigger universities going, hey, if you enter the transfer portal, we may make an offer for you. It's really got the boundaries really need to get better. The rules need to be, there needs to be very clear rules about recruiting again. These aren't free agents. In the NFL, you cannot talk to another player in a business capacity to lure them from somebody else. It's that simple. I know most will bring up the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff trade. We knew Goff was not necessarily going to be wanted by McVay. We knew that Super Bowl, the amount of missed throws by Goff in the Super Bowl really, really, really pissed off Sean McVay. And it really, it didn't make it any easier when they didn't lose by much, and the game was probably one of the worst Super Bowls ever. It was bad. Everybody looked sluggish. It looked tired. It wasn't a defensive battle. It was a drudge match. Like, everybody was just dragging. And because of that, yeah, McVay talks to Stafford at a golf event. You can talk to people. But they had to make a trade for him. It wasn't Stafford getting released. It was they made a trade. And let's be fair. The Rams gave up so much in the trade, it propelled the Lions to what they are now. They hit on every single draft pick. So it worked out for both teams, but it wasn't like what will happen probably with Hawaii. It wasn't if you decide to enter the transfer portal, if you decide to become a free agent, we'll sign you. You don't get to do that in the NFL, the NBA. Yeah, there's the player option, but the player option is normally about money and wanting to get more of it than it is actually trying to go somewhere else. So I am afraid that's going to happen. I am. Now, what about Stanford? Stanford scored 20 points. They did not look bad. I know for most, they're like, these are two low-end teams. It wasn't that great of a game. Listen, I love the purity of college football. I love when teams 75 and 78 are going after it in a game that is 23-20 with a game-winning field goal to finish it off. Where you had hits, you had turnovers, you had sacks, you had big runs, you had big passes, and then you had big kicks. And that right there is why I love college football. There are now, after the expansion, we got Delaware and Missouri State now in college football. 136 teams opening this season. 136. Right now, 5 of them can go undefeated. And 5 of them cannot. That's football. And that's all you can ask for. This weekend, my picks, I went 2-1. Open up the year at 66%. Not bad. We'll take it. If we can go 66% for the season, I will be thrilled. Now, want to do this. So today on FanDuel is Futures Day. And it is all of the future bets for NCAA football and NFL. Obviously, nothing is going to change with being live. I'm going to be as transparent, and I'm going to put money behind what I believe will happen through the year. So I have got this. We did the conference champions bet. So for now, this segment is not sponsored. I've actually got a couple of things out for some partners to come in with the podcast. So looking forward to that. Hopefully that all works out as we go through the process. But for now, this is just my college 5. My college main 5 conference champions, my predictions for this year. Yeah, I went with the main guys. There are certain teams that I don't think will be beat when it comes down to it. So I'm going to go through one each day. And I've already got the bet in. They're actually all bet in a parlay group. But I've got every single bet already set up. So let's dive into the ACC. My ACC champion for this year is going to be Clemson. Cade Klubnik, Dabo Swinney. We have another year of Clemson just building a team. Building it the old-fashioned way. And they now have what Michigan and Ohio State had. There's 2 teams that have that type of experience right now. The 2 teams that have that set up for them where they've got all the experience is Clemson and Penn State. Both of those teams have everything you want in a football team. Lots of seniors. Lots of 2- and 3-year starters. And this is big. On Saturday night, they will play LSU. That is a non-conference game. Non-conference game. So it will not affect how they finish in the ACC. The ACC, their toughest game, maybe at Louisville or maybe at North Carolina. Their two toughest games they have all year are non-conference. They open with LSU and they close at South Carolina, which I am very high on South Carolina for this year. Their ACC schedule is pretty weak. Their draw this year gives them the ability to absolutely run through the ACC, and that is about it. That is about it. They will be able to run through the ACC, and I think they clearly win the division. After LSU, they get Troy, at Georgia Tech, home against Syracuse, at North Carolina, at Boston College, and then they got 3 games at home in a row. SMU, Duke, Florida State. All 3 of those are at home. They're at Louisville on November 14th. They are home against Furman. Can we please stop this? I am fine. So you guys have heard me say that I want the small guys to continually get money. Can we keep it in the FBS, though? Can we stop going to the FCS? Because not every FCS team will play an FBS team. Okay? And because of that, I would just like to see the FCS teams not play. We got 136 FBS teams. We should be able to play one of those every week. Just saying. It's a 12-game season. Okay? 136 teams. I think we should be able to find a lower end 100 to 136 team you can play. You want to beat up on somebody? Keep it in the FBS. The FCS teams do slightly bug me. I will give you that. I do want FBS teams getting, $5 million, whatever it is, to come and get walloped. That I do. I do. That I want. But I don't think there is a team that stops Clemson this year. The ACC championship could be between them and Miami. Could be between them and, it could technically be Louisville. Depends on how they play. No, I am not saying it's going to be North Carolina. I'm sorry. I do think by the end of the year, North Carolina will be one of the best coach teams. Bill Belichick wants to go back to the NFL. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, and we'll talk about that in the offseason. But Clemson is clearly the number one in the ACC. Clearly the number one. All right. So, off of college football. Here we go. The new segment, this will be the segment basically halfway through. So let's go over what's going to go on the podcast now that we got everything else. So the big question is, what's on the horizon? What is the podcast going to be? Where are we going? What are we talking about? What are the plans and what are the goals? Well, it's really, really simple. I'm talking to a couple of partners, like I said, to be able to sponsor individual segments that will be on the show. Primarily, this show will be football, especially through the NFL season, but it is a sports show. And how do we do that every day so it's not just football? Well, here we go. I grew up when ESPN was at its heyday. They were the worldwide leader in sports. They obviously are not that anymore, but I was trying to figure out a segment that I could do that would give me the ability to look at everything else. Just a short time block of everything else. So on these, every day we will have this. The 10,000-foot view of sports. and we will cover every sport that is relevant during this segment. So today, we're going to go over baseball because baseball is heating up. And last night, the Yankees took down the Boston Red Sox. They're only a game or a half game now behind them in the standings. It's been really, really interesting. Cal Raleigh, the outstanding catcher from the Mariners, hit 2 home runs, 48 and 49 yesterday. He now sets a record for most home runs as a catcher. As a catcher. Good for him. Congratulations to him. Now we're running into the end of September here. So as you look through, and we're going to kind of look at this for just a wee little bit here. Some of the teams that are really, really struggling here recently in the last 10. The Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins, which we said the Twins had sold off, so not a big deal. But the Guardians were really, they get caught up. They were only 6.5 games back of the Detroit Tigers. They have gone 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're on a 5-game losing streak now. And the Detroit Tigers have gone 8-2. So the Guardians are now 12.5 back and now third in their division. Another team that has slightly struggled over the last 10 is the Mariners. The good news for them is the Houston Astros have also struggled. They just went 4-6 in their last 10, and the Mariners have gone 3-7. The AL West is a really tight division between the Astros and Mariners. It's separated by only 2 games. It is separated by only 2 games. The Detroit Tigers are the number 1 team in the American League. The Blue Jays are second, and the Astros are third. The AL East, I'm not so sure that the top spot isn't already basically figured out. But when you look at the wild card, you've really only got 3, max 4 teams that can really make a move. The Kansas City Royals have gone 7-3 in their last 10. They are 3 games out of that last wild card spot. The Red Sox, Yankees, and Mariners all have 70 wins. The Red Sox have 71. The Royals are at 67-64. The Rangers at 66-66. The Guardians are at 64-65. Tampa Bay Rays really don't have the power to be able to go after any of those teams. Now, with the way the weekend series set up, Kansas City ended up knocking off Detroit yesterday after they had that 3-game series with Detroit. The Blue Jays lost to the Marlins. Tell you what, that Marlins team is a royal pain in the butt to a lot of teams. The Marlins are not a horrible baseball team. They are not. They play really hard. The Athletics, I watched the end of the game Saturday, where the Athletics won in extra innings over the Seattle Mariners. The Athletics play really, really tough. The Angels, once again, the Cubs went out, swept the Angels. So what is on tap for the early series of this week? Let's go to this week. So today you have the Red Sox and Orioles starting up their series. The Braves and Marlins, Rays, Guardians. The Nationals are at the Yankees. The Yankees need to take advantage of this. The Yankees have to take advantage of this series and hope that they can gain in on the Blue Jays. They have to hope they can gain in on the Blue Jays. But the problem is the Twins are playing the Blue Jays. Twins are already looking at next year. They made those trades. No big deal. And then you've got a huge matchup. And why did I say huge so much? Because it's the Phillies and Mets. The Phillies and Mets series starts today. Carlos Sanchez, Versenga, two pitchers that have a below 2.75 ERA. Senga is at a 2.58. Sanchez is at a 2.46. I am taking the under on the runs, just so you know. That bet actually went in this morning when I woke up. That is not going to score a lot of runs. These two teams are going to be fighting for everything. The Mets know this is their opportunity to gain in games on the Phillies. Last week, the Cubs, honestly, didn't take advantage of the Brewers series as much as they should have. They really, really let at least one. They let one game just get away from them. And it hurts. In these games, you have a straight 1-for-1 swap. So if you lose, you're back a game. But if you win, you gain the game. And that's the importance of these. So Phillies and Mets, absolutely ginormous series this week. Then you got the Padres and Mariners. That's a really big series. Two top teams, both currently wild card, going at each other. And an underlying series. This one's underlying. And I'm going to keep my eye on this one. The Cincinnati Reds are against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers have been one of the most inconsistent teams all year. Most inconsistent teams all year. If the Reds can take advantage, they are a team in the National League that still can make the wild card. They are only a game and a half behind the Mets. The Padres, Mets, Reds, and Diamondbacks have all gone 5-5 in their last 10. Not much has changed in the standings whatsoever. The Diamondbacks are 5.5 out. I tend to think they're fully out. I don't think they got what it takes down the road. I will give them credit. Even after all those trades, they have remained competitive. But I think the Cincinnati Reds, the trades they made, getting Hunter Green back, who Green came in his first start back off the IL, he was making up for lost time, baby. He had the pitch control was electric. He was spotting the fastball so well. It was great. I think the Reds can do it. It's going to come down between the Mets and the Reds unless the Padres and Cubs really go into a bad slump again. But we'll see how that happens. On Tuesday, so let's go to Tuesday here. So let's see. We already did those. What's the other ones? So you got Cubs at Giants. Cubs at Giants. That's actually a big game. This one's interesting. Justin Verlander is opening up that game. Justin Verlander is 1-10 this year. I said that right. 1-10 with the 4.64 ERA. 1-10. That's rough. That is really rough. Cubs need to take advantage of that series as well, as the Brewers play the Diamondbacks. So definitely not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But these games matter. These games matter. We're heading into, you got to really start looking at the playoffs. You really got to look at the playoffs. Other news, other sports. In the WNBA, yes, I said it, WNBA. I bet on it an awful lot. I've made some good money betting off of it this year. Yesterday's games, really fun to watch. You can see some teams have a little bit more skill than others, but that's about it. The Seattle Storm versus the Washington Mystics ended in a beautiful 84-82 game. Beautiful buzzer-beating jumper. Nika who I know most of you don't know. But she had 6 3-pointers, had 30 points. It was a big game. And honestly, when you're watching the game, when you're watching the basketball on the court is not that bad. If you watch it for what it is. I mean, come on. You and I, just the general human being, can't go out, score 30 points, and hit 6 3-pointers. And then to get the buzzer beater winner, 15-foot jump shot to win the game. You know, we dream of that when we're kids playing in the yard. We dream of the game-winning touchdown throw, the game-winning basketball shot, the walk-off grand slam. We dream of all that when we're kids. We play that in the backyard all the time. She got the game-winning buzzer. Good for them. Good for them. Seattle Storm are now 20-18 on the year. The Mystics dropped to 16-22. In other news, the Golden State Valkyries and the Dallas Wings. Paige Buchers, I absolutely love Paige Buchers. She had a rough day yesterday. She was 3 of 12 from the field, but still had 9 assists. Got in some foul trouble. The Valkyries pulled out in the third quarter. They get the victory 90-81 over the Dallas Wings. And then the Indiana Fever, who have been absolutely decimated by injuries. Cunningham's out. Ari McDonald's out. Clark is out. Just decimated. Kelsey Mitchell got to the free throw line a ton. She was 10 of 11 from the free throw line. I'll take that on the Pacers all day long if she wants to switch. Just for free throws, man. I'll take 10 of 11 all day long. But the Minnesota Lynx, who I have predicted to win the WNBA championship, are now 30-7. They get the victory at home, 97-84. The Fever are still 19-18. Don't ask me how. I don't know how that team is still above 500 with all the injuries they have. I have zero clue how that's possible. I really do. I have zero clue how it's possible. So there's WNBA. And obviously, let's finish it off with everybody's favorite, the NFL. Let's finish it off with the NFL, and then we'll close this out. Derek Nottie, veteran defensive tackle, gets traded from the Jets back to the Kansas City Chiefs. They basically have a 2027 pick swap. So obviously Nottie was not high on the list. He wasn't potentially going to make the roster with the Jets, which is weird because remember, they made those 2 trades last week for defensive tackles. So they're making a 2027 pick swap, and then they get a 7th round conditional pick for a 6th round conditional pick. It's a really weird pick swap. That's all it is. Basically, you're trading Derek Nottie for picks. That's the simple thing. But what does this mean for the Chiefs? It means they're just trying to get deeper at defensive tackle. Guys that know the defense. It's what veteran teams do. They go to what they're comfortable with. In life, we all have our go-to. For my mom in the kitchen, in a pinch, needing to create a meal for the family coming over, she had her go-to meal. My mom made party chicken a lot as a kid. It was easy, simple, required enough prep to say she made it, not enough prep to wear her down. Everybody has their go-to thing. We all have a go-to spot on the couch or dad's recliner. Same thing that experienced teams do in the NFL. They go to what they're comfortable with. Why did Carson Steele not end up starting last year with the Chiefs very long because Kareem Hunt came back. They're comfortable with Kareem Hunt. He knew the offense. And let's be honest, the Chiefs kind of had the same view with Carson Steele as Bill Belichick does with rookies. No time for them. Which is really shocking. I didn't think the Chiefs would be like that, but they have turned into that. They really don't have a bunch of time for the rookies to be human beings. It is the NFL. It's a tough league, and they have Super Bowl aspirations. But we all have what we're comfortable with, and that is what veteran teams like the Chiefs, they're old now. They got older. Noddy is not young, but he's going to be that guy you bring in when you need to rotate somebody in and you trust him to make the play. You trust him to make the play on the field. And that's all this is about. Going to your comfort. Going to what you know best. Another bit of news, Aiden O'Connell, the backup quarterback for the Raiders, is now out with a wrist injury for 6 to 8 weeks. So he will not be backing up Geno Smith to start the year. He will not be backing him up to start the year. And that, guys, is going to wrap it up for the first live podcast for Sports Talk with Hawk. So what do we have for the rest of this week? Well, starting tomorrow, I will start my fantasy top 10. So we'll do 2 positions each day in one of the segments. Every day we'll have the 10,000-foot view of sports, and everything else will be basically off of what happens in the sports world. So next week is Labor Day. I am actually out of town. The wife and I are taking the bikes out to St. Louis for a couple-day getaway. So next Monday and Tuesday I will not be live, but I will on Wednesday. This week is known as Predictions Week. You're going to get your predictions for NCAA. You're going to get your predictions for NFL. We're also watching for all the cuts as the teams trim down their rosters and the potential trades. Hendrickson, McLaurin, Parsons, every single one of those guys are on contract and trade watch right now. Yes, trade watch. I mean, shoot, the Eagles traded for Sam Howell this weekend, and the Vikings signed Carson Wentz to back up J.J. McCarthy. Now, I don't know if that's a move for if JJ's bad, they're just going to go after a quarterback next. I don't know. I can't tell with the Vikings. They've got too much talent. They've got the ability to be able to play at a high level. I don't think they should just throw this one off. I really don't. I really don't. But maybe they feel like that would be better. Potentially get Garrett Nussmeier to quarterback for Kevin O'Connell. Maybe even Jalen Daniels. I mean, you've got a really great offensive line. They're going to have to draft a running back. I think Aaron Jones doesn't have a long runway left. But we'll see what happens. They could easily draft a quarterback in the 3rd round, and he could easily work if he's accurate and can throw the ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So there is that. We'll get through the fantasy stuff. We'll get you my predictions, my official predictions for the year. Everybody, as far as division winners, not the playoffs, not my Super Bowl champion, but my official record predictions will be on Wednesday. That'll be one of the segments on Wednesday. And then, obviously, Friday will be the first one where we do a full 5-game prediction for the college football season. I may predict a couple of the other ones Thursday and Friday night, as we've got a big opening week. We got a long opening Labor Day weekend of college football, and I am so ready for it. I am absolutely ready for it. Cannot wait. All right, guys. This is how it's going to be. Simple, straightforward. I'll give you the news, talk about the games, and obviously, as there's more and more, the games will get quicker and quicker. But I loved football this weekend. I loved sitting on the couch, watching football. Had pepperoni hot pockets. Pretty dang good. Pretty dang good weekend. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Hopefully your Monday is starting out strong. Hopefully you make it the best you can. Make it the best weekend that you can. Or sorry, make it the best week you can. Don't play it as the weekend. Make sure you show up to work tomorrow. But make it the best week that you can. And we got big football games this weekend. Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Florida State. We got some big games this weekend. I'll give you my predictions. I'll give you the previews as we continue on through this week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Please make sure to subscribe. Absolutely. I deeply appreciate it. Make sure to ring the bell so that you know when we go live every day, 9 a.m. Thank you so much, guys. You have a fantastic rest of the day. And until next time, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk. I'm out. Have a great day, everyone.